Hello, and welcome back to Diecast Graveyard. My name is Paul. Today we've got a really cool build on a pretty rare car. You don't hardly see this around at all, but this is the Hot Wheels Special Delivery. Now, obviously, this thing was designed after a mailbox. And although the design of the mailbox is kind of weird and everything, man, this car definitely gets overlooked as far as a classic design. Well, I'm really excited to go ahead and restore this car today, and we're going to have some fun. So stick around, grab your favorite beverage, or your favorite adult beverage in this case, and let's go ahead and have some fun with this restoration. Got a few tips in here and some fun, and let's just go ahead and get started on this bad boy. Here I've got the car already drilled apart. The engine is one of the posts, and the back end of the car is one of the posts. The body's in so-so shape. They had paper decals on there. That kind of sucked, but they wear off quickly. The paint is chipped off and worn out. Now the body, not in too bad a shape, but the wheels are kind of sloppy. We're going to have to work with those the best we can. But it has the same type of suspension as some of the older Red Barons. The headlights are nice and big. I filed down already because I was playing around the casting lines on the headlights. But this car is pretty cool. Now here in the back is the flap for the mailbox and the seat for the driver. Now here's your engine with your radiator set up in the front. And here in the back is where your gauges go for the car itself. So we got our work cut out for us here. We got a lot of polishing to do, some brightening up, and a lot of fixing and restoring to do. I thought about carving down those casting lines, but I went ahead and left those ones alone. Let's get started. Here we're going to pop the body in some paint stripper and get rid of all that old nasty paint and those paper decals. I'll let it sit in there for about half an hour or so, maybe a little bit longer. But we're going to let it sit just to make sure that it gets everything off that car. Hopefully the body won't be in too bad a shape and there won't be a lot of toning. Let's let it set.
Meanwhile, back in the graveyard.
Well, the body itself really wasn't too bad. We polished it up with a wire brush and it didn't need anything else. So let's go ahead and paint this bad boy back to its original blue. Now the other color blue that was on there was faded quite a bit, but we're going to go ahead and use this Spectra Flame blue from the Redline shop. Make sure you get all your hard to reach places first, like in your fender wells and everything else that could be exposed underneath the car that you may see by looking at it. But get all those hard to reach places first. Now we're going to put a tack coat on. Just a very light coat to allow the rest of the paint to stick really nice. Just be real careful and don't put on too much paint. Make sure that you're getting all the areas by doing a really nice sweep on the car. Don't dibble and dabble with the paint, the airbrush, and just put it back and forth and like that. Make sure you get a nice clean stream across the whole area that you're painting. That's looking good. Let that dry for a bit, then we'll start getting into the second coats. Let it set for about 10 minutes. Now we're going to put a little bit heavier coats on there. Just go ahead and put some nice even strokes on the car, and the more you do that, the smoother the paint job is going to be. Just don't put it down too heavy, and it'll turn out nice and shiny for you. This is really starting to look super. Man, that color just pops. I love that color blue. Fantastic stuff, folks. Okay, that's looking really good. And that blue is looking excellent, isn't it? Fantastic. That's looking really good. I'm happy with the way this is turning out. Well, we're going to put it in the cabinet and we're going to let it sit overnight.
the very next morning.
Here we've got the base, got the Blue Magic Metal Polish Cream, and we're going to go ahead and polish that base. Just a little bit off the lid. Now I like the cream versus the soup or the liquid or whatever like that. I like it to where it sticks to the area that you're going to polish. Using your Dremel and a polishing bonnet, go ahead and get in there and get that thing polished up. You'll know when it's enough. Just be careful that you don't get too close to the wheels because you don't want the Dremel to rip those wheels off. If you have to put some more cream down, go ahead. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that little bell to be alerted to any future videos that come out. That's starting to look pretty good. Make sure you get the headlights and the back end of the vehicle on the base. That's really starting to look sharp. There you go. Get that back end, make that look nice and shiny too. Let's go ahead and move on to the engine. Well, let's go ahead and polish up the engine. We got some more of that Blue Magic Metal Polish Cream, and we're going to polish that thing up nice and shiny. Just do the best you can. There's going to be a lot of hard to reach areas in there. And just keep going over it. That'll look really sweet. Let's go ahead and move on. Here we've got the base. Now we got to do a wheel swap. This car comes with 2 mediums in the front and 2 larges in the back. Now there's only 2 sizes of wheels available for the cap style wheels, mediums and larges. Go ahead and take your razor, follow it up to the edge of the tire, work it in, and give it a twist. That should pop it right off. Well, should in theory. There we go. And just repeat that all the way around. Now, these particular caps, they're a little bit loose because they're worn out pretty good. So you may have to go in there and put a little bit of glue in there to hold the wheels on. You can see there, look at the gap in between there, okay? Yeah. We'll definitely have to put a little bit of the tester's modeling glue in there. I don't like using super glue on stuff like this because it tends to leave a white film in there. Especially around plastic glass. You don't want to use that super glue in there because the fumes give off a white tint to the windows and stuff like that. You definitely don't want to do that. So just use regular modeling glue. It'll be just enough to hold it. And you can still pop it off later on because it doesn't hold on super strong. Pop them bad boys on there and that'll look sweet. Now, like I said, I did go back in a little bit later and I put a little bit of glue on those wheels to hold them in place. That'll take care of that problem. These are just the things you come up with when you're doing these restorations, guys. Some things might not fit perfectly because they're worn out beyond what you can really do anything with. So you got to overcome and adapt. Now we're going to put on some decals. Here's the gauges package, and that goes on the back of the engine. Now I went ahead and I sprayed down the engine with some of the Zep degreaser and clean that up really good. Just get it centered as best you can, and that'll look really nice. And then we'll let that dry. Set that aside. Now here's the side of the car that says US mail. Now when I trimmed these down, they didn't fit exactly the way they should have on the bottom. You're just going to have to adjust that as best you can. You'll see here in a second. I soaked it in the water for about 10 to 15 seconds, wetted the back of the car, and now I'm putting this on. Like I said, notice the little bit of gap there on your decal. And a little corner folded underneath there. Now once I get this on here and I let it set up a little bit, I'll come back in with some of the microset, and that'll work out good. That'll conform to anything. If you have to, you can trim it very lightly with a razor, but you definitely want to do that after it's dry. We'll let that set, we'll let it dry, hit it with the microset, let it dry again, and then trim it up if we need to. And then we'll seal it with the clear coat, and that'll be really nice. Here we've got the engine. This is the radiator in the front. Now originally it was all black, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. I've got a fine tip paint pen, and we're going to fill in the little lines on the radiator, and then we're going to take that same paint pen and go around the outer edges and make it look really nice. Apologize for my big old knockwurst fingers being in the way. There you go. Now we're going to clean everything up. That's looking good. Now if you make a mistake, just take a Q-tip with a little bit of lacquer thinner and wipe it all off and do it all over again. That's really, really easy to do. That's looking really nice. Let's go ahead and move on. Now we're going to detail up the taillights. Here I've got my Sharpie paint pen. We're going to take that across the edge of these taillights. It's a little hard to see because of the light and the angle here, but it is coating very well. That's starting to look good. All right. Here we've got all of our pieces together. We've got the body itself with all the decals in place. That looks good. We've got the base. We got those brand new tires on there. We'll straighten up those wheels a little bit. They're a little bit sloppy, but hey, it's the best we can do with what we got. Here's the engine all polished up with the decal package in place. Here's the interior all cleaned up and ready to go. And this is what we started with. A special delivery. This beautiful Hot Wheels car that doesn't get enough recognition. We took it apart, we painted it, we polished it, we replaced the wheels, and we put new decals on. And like I said, guys, before, you can do this also. If you do enough research on eBay or wherever you're getting your cars, go ahead and get you some cars. Now, check out doing some main lines first, because you definitely don't want to blow out the posts on these things and just have basically a pile of junk there. Some posts can be repaired, as you've seen in some of my other videos, but you don't want to take the chance there. You've got to be really accurate when it comes to doing these red lines, because they're so expensive nowadays, and you don't want to turn them into junk. But this one turned out fantastic. And here's what we got to. Look how beautiful this car turned out. That beautiful Spectre Flame paint. We polished up the engine. We put the decal package on. We redid the radiator. And this car turned out absolutely beautiful. We got the brand new cap wheels on there from the Redline shop. Check that out at www.redlineshop.com, where Redlines come to life. This is where you can get all your replacement parts for these cars. Now, some they may have in stocks, some they may not. Just do the best you can, and you'll have a great time. This is a wonderful hobby, and we do these videos so we can teach you how to do this too. Fantastic car. I love the way this turned out, and you know what? This is staying in my collection. I love this car. It's beautiful. You know, the special series cars just don't get enough recognition, but this is really darn cool. I like this so much. Now, I've got a Patreon page. These folks that are members of my Patreon team, they go out of their way and they make a donation to me. And I use those donations to buy supplies in order to keep this channel going. I can't thank them enough, and there's so many now. I mean, my Diecast graveyard team is growing, and I need your help too, folks. For a small donation, you can help me with the videos and help me with the supplies that I need to keep my videos going. I can't thank these gentlemen enough. There's so many of them now. Just check out the link for the Patreon page down in the comments section, and you can become a member of the Diecast Graveyard team. And what you get for that is you get to see pictures of work in progress. You get to see videos ahead of time before they're released to the public. You also get the chance to have a one-on-one with me when you need it for your restoration and your customizing needs. I'm there for you to ask questions to. And we also have a monthly drawing where I give away sometimes some of the cars I do in my videos, etc. Please check out the link and become a member of the Patreon team for Diecast Graveyard. Thank you for joining me here today on Diecast Graveyard. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to see, or if you'd like to make a donation to cars or whatever, contact me in the About page. It has my email address in there. Take care, have a great day, and cheers.